Alright, let's not get too excited. I'm not actually doing a stream. Not that that matters, because people who watch after the fact, or people who tune in possibly maybe in the middle of it, are going to be like, eh? Right, what is actually going on here is that I am moving over to my Rode rig again. So if the audio sounds really balked, it's going to be because I can't actually check the audio levels, because for some reason my sound card has decided it's going to crash, or at least the external card that I've used has decided it's not going to output, but it will take input. And the only way to fix that is to reboot, and ain't no one got time for that. So, hi Jet, how you doing? I might end up being stuck out in the middle of the boonies, or somewhere where tinterwebs ain't going to be all that ideal. So, I want to do a... 720-30 streams. Also, I've noticed that I've had issues, at least on YouTube, with some of my other higher bitrate, higher frame rate streams coming off the Switch. Or it could just be the fact that playing them back looks absolutely crap. Oh, 1 second. Bless those spuds. My children have come round and wrecked the house. We want a midnight snack. It's not midnight, and you're not having a snack. But they've got a snack anyway. Right, I'm not actually going to be playing or doing this for... yeah, I know, mate, this nose is awful. I've been rocking a really bad case of the plague now for a couple weeks now. And, yeah, just really dead at the moment. So that's great. Ugh. So you're going to have to suffer for it. This is only going to be quick. I just want to see what this is going to look like with a really sucky bit rate and going through at 720-30. The one that I noticed was really bad was Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 on Switch. Whilst I was playing it, the frame rate didn't look that bad. However, in the streams, at least on YouTube, they looked absolutely awful, and in some cases the game looked like it was playing on as like a slideshow. This game, whilst it's not the most intense game you're ever going to see in the world, has a lot more detail, so I should be able to stress out the stream, at least bitrate wise, because it'll probably it'll macro block a lot earlier, because there'll be less bandwidth being sent to... There'll be less data there to you know, render out all this detail. So plus I'll actually be able to check to see if you know, if I can actually stream this. So if I spin around a bit, what's the highest my processor goes to at the moment? Oh wow, okay, that's not great, but that's not bad either. That'll probably be the most stuff that we'll ever have happening on screen at any one time, and it was sat at about 60%. And admittedly, this is 720-30 on an Ultrabook processor, so... An old Ultrabook processor. Which way was... I can't even remember where I was going now. I was following a path after talking to some people on a bridge, or before a bridge. It might actually have been them geezers that just walked away, but... I'm not, just to note, I'm not a huge fan of Skyrim. I used to really quite like the Elder Scrolls series, back before Bethesda started nickel and diamond console players with patches to fix quests that were actually paid DLC. But I picked up, so when Skyrim came out, just a little, can we have a little bit of story time? Let's have a nice little view, let's find a nice view. Anyone that has known me for any period of time will remember back when Skyrim first came out. You know, it was quite a hyped game. Or when it was due to come out, it was really hyped. Everyone was getting into the whole, yeah, there's going to be a new Elder Scrolls game coming out. And I got, let's see, 1 second. Isn't there a law about an ISP having to give you all the data they promise now? Probably, I guess. Although you know that ISPs in this country are absolute bollocks. Right, didn't really like Skyrim. Oblivion I liked. Right, so here's the trick. I've played Elder Scrolls, lots of them, and if anyone has heard my storied rant on Team Irn Bru on YouTube, I absolutely hated Elder Scrolls Online, and I absolutely hated what was it called, Skyrim. Now there was a reason for me hating Skyrim way back, way back. Was it 2011, 2012 when it came out? I had a relatively decent gaming PC, which I still have today. It was running dual AMD GPUs in Crossfire. Now that does not mean that I have double the graphics performance. I'd get like 1.4, 1.5%, or 1.5%, 1.5 times performance of a single card, right? So I basically had the equivalent of a 7970 in my machine before the 7970 existed. And so I should have been able to play Skyrim at a, at a decent quality. And I got hold of a copy of the game. And I'm supposed to share my thoughts on it, or I'm going to share my thoughts on it. And I fire up the game, and it looks like absolute shit. Not that it really looks like shit, it plays like absolute shit. And I mean, it plays horribly, considering the hardware in my machine. Absolutely horribly. And I do a bit of digging, and I find that this issue is only really affecting, at the time, Skyrim. For me, at least. And I go to, was it the Bethesda forums, or something like that. And after doing a bit of digging, we find out that it was the fact that I was using Crossfire. Crossfire was absolutely murdering my performance in Skyrim. I was benchmarking the intro section of the game over and over and over again. And then I'd play for like, I don't know, half an hour after the intro, after creating my character and doing all this dancey-roundy stuff. And then I just say, I'm sick of this performance drop. When we found out it was Crossfire, I pulled the card, one of my cards, and got near flawless performance. My performance almost doubled after pulling one of my graphics cards. And after going on the forums and saying, look, is there going to be a patch for this? Like, when is this going to be patched? When is this going to be fixed? When am I going to be able to play the game? So if I remember rightly, Skyrim also at launch only ran on 4 gigs of RAM. And I had 16 gigs of RAM in my machine at the time as well. There was no sign of there being a patch, and the suggested fix was literally just take out one of your graphics cards. Right, so I'm going to nerf my gaming PC, where every other game works just fine. I'm going to absolutely murder every other game's performance just because you can't be asked to patch. You can't be asked to, issue a patch for Crossfire support. Now, noting that I'd come from Morrowind, Elder Scrolls 3, really loved that game. Me and Chalky back in the day, back when we were kids, had a right laugh playing that game. Really cool. The world, I don't remember much about it. I just remember that it was a a nice world to just walk around in and get lost in. And then I went to Oblivion, and Oblivion was a nice game. It looked kind of rubbery. That was a pretty hyped game at the time. It was on, the Xbox and the PlayStation 3, and you could get it on PC. And I was playing it on a console at the time, so it still looked pretty good. And you're rocking around. Yeah, I was a big hulking dude with, like massive armor, massive swords and axes, and just wrecking everything. And it gets to the point where all of a sudden I contract vampirism. And there is a quest that you can do to get rid of vampirism. Now, if you let vampirism, the disease, take hold, from what I remember, I could be completely wrong on this one, right? Vampirism takes over. Oh, I'm losing there. It's getting all dark. When vampirism takes hold, you can't go out during the day, obviously, because you're a vampire. Sunlight hurts you, so you can't fast travel anywhere. That means that you're limited to travel at night time, and unless you're doing like Dark Brotherhood quests, you're kind of stuffed at that point because everyone is asleep or quests aren't available at night time. So if you, let's say we now want to go do the quest to cure my vampirism. I want to go and do the quest that gives me the cure. Well, you start going through this kind of somewhat long story arc. And then the woman that starts to give you the quest, out of nowhere, and this happened quite a bit, would she'd turn on you. You'd do nothing to her. You wouldn't, you know, break into her house. You wouldn't attack her. You wouldn't steal from her. She would just randomly turn on you like you were the spawn of Satan. Which meant that the quest was broken because she would aggro you from outside her house. You couldn't finish that quest. Didn't happen to everyone, but it did happen to quite a few people. And for me, it was you know, it was completely broken. My game had then stopped. And rather than Bethesda issuing a free patch, they issued the next DLC for Skyrim. And I think we had horse armor was the first one. We had the there was like a frost spire as the second one, and then there was a cave. I don't remember what it was called lore-wise, but that contained the herb for the cure for vampirism. I think you could not only give yourself vampirism, but you could cure it as well with this DLC. So I had to pay for the DLC to cure my vampirism because the quest line for it was bugged. Sorry, Oblivion. I had to pay for the DLC for Oblivion. Sorry about that. I'm on a rant and I'm unwell, so just expect me to go full mental here. I had to pay for DLC to cure my character's vampirism to be able to continue the story. Only then for me to finish the story and then want to practically cry. By the way, the frame, if you're seeing jerky frame rates on the stream, it is not jerky at all on my screen. It seems to be in the preview of the stream, but it isn't in the actual game. Yeah, so I had to pay for the DLC. By the time I got to the end of the game, I don't even remember who it was you had to fight. It was three like mages. Was it Mankar Cameron or something like that? And that was him and two like minions. And I just remember wailing on them and them dying without putting up very much of a fight at all. I was so disappointed. And then you go and see... Oh god, what is his name? Martin Septum, I think? This was a long time ago when I played this game. You go and see Martin Septum, and then the game basically ended. You had very little input on it. Yeah, and then wasn't the giant's name Marin's Dagon or whatever his name was. Either way, he then turns up, he battles the dragon, and then it's over. Or something to that effect. And I was like, surely that couldn't have been the end of the game. That couldn't have been it. There had to have been more of a challenge to it. Apparently that was it. I went and looked it up recently, actually, because I was like, surely I can't be remembering that. I couldn't have been that disappointed that I finally remembered the game's ending. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Although the people that I'd seen playing it, the mages, the three mages, actually put up a fucking fight. So, by this point, you have to imagine, or you have to understand, that I was getting pretty sick of Bethesda's shit. Not only were they releasing horribly buggy games, but they were charging console owners for patches to fix quest lines. If you were a PC user, you could literally open up the console and type in the item or the quest that you needed, and you could just finish it. You could actually fix it yourself. with a command. You couldn't do that in the console version. So if your quest line broke, you either started the game again, if you had that option to, or you were basically stuffed. So I got, by the time I played Skyrim and it had that annoying bug with the crossfire, the game could have been perfectly fine. I just was not interested in it. I was actually really quite sick of Bethesda and all of their crap, and when they screwed up Fallout, because let's be fair, Fallout 3 is kind of wank. Sorry if you're a Fallout fan, but it's not very good. Yeah, just looking at the stream, by the way, those stutters in the frame rate, they are not there on in the gameplay. So if you are seeing stutters, that's not there in the gameplay. So there's probably something I'm going to have to sort out on my stream. Not entirely sure what though, but those stammers aren't there. Yeah, I was just sick of it, so I never really played it. And then Elder Scrolls Online, to answer your question, Jet, I never played Elder Scrolls Online. I had a bit of a deal with Chalky. He told me to play Elder Scrolls Online. We had Elder Scrolls Online. We all had it on PS4, and Chalky had been playing it on PC, and he absolutely loved it, just like he absolutely loved Skyrim. And he said I had to give it a fair chance. I couldn't just play it and instantly dismiss it because of my, hatred of Skyrim. We put in over 8 hours into that game, and it sucked balls. Elder Scrolls Online licked balls hard. I never bothered to play it after that. It bugged out on us in typical kind of Bethesda. It wasn't Bethesda that made the game, by the way, but in typical Bethesda licensed game style, it was broken. We were doing quests. It was me, seasoned MMO player, my wife, somewhat seasoned MMO player, and an MMO noob playing it. Those two absolutely hated the game within a few hours of playing it, and I played it. I tried my hardest to get into that game, but there were just so many things about it I didn't like. And when I complained about the combat, I got into a bit of a rant. I actually rage quit during a live stream. I was playing the game with Chalky. That was me, Chalky, Inky the Obvious, and Devine of Team Irn Bru. And I basically said the combat in the game licked balls. Elder Scrolls combat is not particularly great. It just isn't. There are many ways you can manipulate enemies in Elder Scrolls game to stop them from actually attacking you. I've done it a few times already in this Skyrim playthrough. I say playthrough, like I haven't been streaming or anything, but I've just been dicking around in it. There have been so many different times that I've managed to bug out an enemy to stop them from attacking me. So I've been able to take out enemies that are way stronger than me relatively easily. Or just the fact that the combat was kind of I mean, adding a quick bar, sorry Chalky to bring this up again, but adding a quick bar does not change the combat that much, so that it is, sarcastic air quotes, not like Skyrim. Oh, phone's ringing. Elder Scrolls combat has been the same since the dawn of time. Adding a quick bar does not change that fact one single iota, not a shred. So if I didn't like the combat and I didn't like the story or anything like that, then I wasn't going to like the game. And after 8 hours, I just didn't give a shite. And when a load of the quests started to bug out for us, we were just like, really? Elder Scrolls games, which are supposed to be, endless quests of you being the lone hero, being thrown into an MMO, it didn't really fit. And so, kind of table flip time, after ranting at Chalky, I literally shut down the game, threw my control pad across the room, which is like the first time I've rage quit in a video game in, well, it's probably since I was a teenager. Yeah, I didn't get on with that game. I still have it. I haven't coasted it yet. I think Devine just threw his copy in the bin. And I have no idea what Inky did with hers. But most... let's throw it this way. Let's put it this way. I made Chalky play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Switch. And he hates that game. Absolutely hates it. And I said to him, look, you've got to give it a chance. You've got to give it a chance. So he played it for about 5 hours and hated it. Hated every minute of it. To the point that even on live stream, he said to me, I will never, ever say to you, give a game a chance again. Ever. So, yeah, there's that. I wouldn't mind maybe trying ESO again, but I'd have to play it on console because it's Windows only, and I game on Linux. Yeah, let's do it. Can I just do another quick cycle of the area? Because it's not my processor that's causing the game to lag, so I'm not actually entirely sure what's causing the stutters. Whoa, that was a bad stutter. I'm not entirely sure what is causing the stuttering in the preview. Because my processor seems relatively okay. Let me see. Oh, hang on. Let me just check something. Right, just keep an eye on the stream and let me know if the stutter goes away, because I think I might know what may have been causing it. Oh no, there was a stutter again. It always seems to be in the same place by that tree. I think that one. And then we'll turn around the other way. Because I don't want to start doing these streams on this little burner rig, only to find that I'm going to end up... Because I haven't dropped any... Oh, there's another one. What is causing that? What is causing that random glitch? I'd hope it's not... it's not the capture card, although admittedly I think this capture card's going to have to go back and be replaced with a Magewell, which is incredibly expensive. But we've already got one, so why not go for extras? Just in case anyone's curious, this is the I'll read out the name. It's the AGP Tech USB 3.0 1080p 60 FPS capture. And I think it's called and streaming on the box, and its model number is VG0061, which is a very cheap UVC USB 3 capture card. Absolutely fucking awful in the grand scheme. But with that said, I'm going to have to disappear. So, I'll check out the stream in a bit. Just give me some feedback. Tell me your Elder Scrolls stories. And I'll see you all in the next one.